At what time of your musical life this new album arrived exactly?
Oh, I think it's an interesting time in the musical life, you know, where things are coming together, you know, different influences, different ways, I would say streams that I've experienced in my life, studying who I am, the experience I've had, etc., come together. You know, namely, more specifically, being a professional jazz musician in New York for 20 years, and being Israeli from a Moroccan and Yemenite heritage, loving and learning more and more the music of the Middle East and North Africa, and just trying to bring everything together into my voice. It's not very new, but it's definitely a different stage, a new stage.
What value do you give to an album in general? Is that a special meaning for you, an album?
An album? I mean, this album is definitely special. It has almost like a piece. Like I had time to prepare for it, and it's a lot of intention into it. But for us, an album is a portrait of where we are in life. You know, it's not a little different than pop musicians, or where we don't work towards the album, but we work in general. And then an album comes at a point where you just wanted to describe where you are and who you are at that moment.
Does that mean that when you prepare an album in your mind, it's a bit like writing a book? I mean, with a beginning, a middle, and
it's a little bit like writing a book, and it could also, I mean, there are different albums. This album is a little bit like writing a book or preparing for trying to make a whole, you know, a whole piece come together.
Tell me a bit about the choice of the musicians when you start writing composition and all that. Did you already have in mind the musicians that are here?
I pretty much, you know, my biggest idols as far as the jazz music is Duke Ellington and Charlie Mingus. And they specifically wrote for specific people. And in general, I've been playing with these guys for about 20 years. So pretty much half of our lives or something like that we've spent together. And yeah, when I write something, I hear Avishai or Daniel, I know Jonathan will play this kind of way, I know Joel has this type of sound, you know, so it's definitely directed for the people, and they know my music, so they'll know how to react to it, you know.
What do you like and what do you don't like in recording in the studio?
Well, you know, obviously a live show is more fun, and it's just about the now and about the feeling. In a studio, you have to look at it and try it again, and it's always intense. It's always more intense because you know you're leaving something that's going to be, you know, people are going to hear for a long time. On the other hand, it's positive because you have time to focus a little more and concentrate on the details and make a point to try those things and you know what I mean? I guess try to make them more perfect.
What is the most difficult?
In recording?
Yeah.
To stay relaxed, you know, to stay relaxed and to understand that you're in the moment, because as jazz musicians we are in the moment. We improvise, but at the same time that we're in a process that is trying to capture the moment.
this album? You did a lot of stuff in, like you mentioned, like in different
directions.
direction.
Again, this is, I think, for me, maybe a culmination or some kind of meeting of a lot of different styles that I'm using and dealing with and studying. Is it the Middle Eastern, North African music, even classical composition, European that I studied, and of course jazz. So it's definitely something that is different than what I've done so far.
Even if it's a quintet and that it's a friend of yours for a long time.
Yeah.
What kind of band leader are you?
I mean, I hope I'm a good band leader, but I'm in a way I'm a composer, so I bring compositions. The compositions and the music shows the way. This song, that song, every song is a little bit of a story or a feeling or a mode. And then the process is finding everybody's voice in it. I love to hear what they have to say, because I feel that everybody has to feel good when they play music. And to be a part of it, it makes it a band sound. You know what I mean? As opposed to, oh, just you do this, you do this. You know what I mean? Jazz musicians are all artists and all creators. Even if you're a sideman, you're still a personality, you're still an individual. So it's important that there's, on one hand, a very clear compositional and band leader strategy. On the other hand, you have to have the freedom for the individuals.
Voice, singing is something which is to be very important in your approach of your music. And I was watching you were singing a lot and all that.
Yeah.
It seems to be like it's like
yeah, I pretty much I love this singing voice. I love folklore music, you know, from my country and the places where I feel connected to, and obviously jazz and blues. And it's a big part, yeah. I think that I'm trying to bring this kind of spirit, you know, of singing, of dancing, you know what I mean, that kind of folk. I think it's a folk element, you know what I mean.
Do you try to give an answer to what is jazz today in 2013 in like doing what you are doing, or you don't try to think too much about it?
I don't try to, I mean, to say that I don't think about it would be a lie, but to tell you that I have an answer is also a lie. So it's a process, we all think about it, we know what jazz is, where it came from, we followed that road, it took us somewhere. I mean, we're thankful to this genre, to this style, to the people that invented it, etc. At the same time, you know, the world is changing, we're changing, and it's always a struggle. It's always finding the balance between what you want to say, how original you want to be, and how much you're connected to the roots of the style, etc. So to me, it's always a balance, always changing. It's never this or this or this, or more of this or more of that. I mean, I think striking a good balance is pretty much at the heart of all work, you know, works of art and you know, in general.